With RAM prices going up, people think that they can no longer build budget PCs. Well, in today's video, I've managed to build a PC with quite a decent amount of RAM and also performance for only $150. But let's roll that intro. Alright guys, so this is going to be me talking about the PC and also how I managed to get it, alright? So, this right here is an HP EliteDesk 800 G4 Tower, alright? And yeah, as you can see here from the sticker, it's got an 8th Gen i7, alright? Which means that this fully supports Windows 11 and also has a pretty fast CPU, alright? It's not a quad-core, let's just say that. So, anyway, how did I get this PC? Well, on eBay, they're selling a lot of these for about $100, and so I purchased one, and they didn't really specify the RAM. They just said that it would come with a random amount of RAM and storage, and yes, it did come with a random amount of RAM and storage. So this came with 3 8GB sticks and a 4GB stick of DDR4, which actually is worth quite a bit now, but I bought this pre-Ramageddon. Well, a little bit before anyways. It was already bumping up slightly, but it was before the eBay seller could notice, so yeah, I did actually steal this, basically. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how I got this, alright? And yeah, it came with an extremely weird amount of RAM, 28GB. I've never seen a PC just come with that amount. It's either 16, 24, okay? It would be something around either 16, 24, or 32, not 28. But whatever, I'll take the RAM. And in terms of storage, we got a 500GB SSD, alright? Now, I did put in a 320GB laptop hard drive that's like older than I am to store some games like GTA 5 Enhanced because I didn't have enough storage. But look here, that's literally free. It was thrown out, so yeah. And GPU-wise, yeah. This thing has the legendary GTX 1050 Ti. Now, you guys might be saying, why don't you go for an RX 580 8GB or 1066GB? Because they're literally at a similar price. Well, you see here, the power supply in this thing is the limit, alright? You see, if I got something like a 580, a 570 8GB, or 1060, it would have ran above the PSU limit, alright? PSU limit, I think, on this is like 200 watts. And with that i7 consuming 100, yeah, this thing was screwed. Which is why I got 1050 Ti, because that's actually really power efficient and doesn't require any external adapters or connectors, alright? So yeah, it's pretty decent, alright? It's got 4GB of VRAM, and it should play most AAA titles at like 30 FPS at 720p low or 1080p with FSR. It's alright, okay? And also in terms of the setup, this is just for fun, it's not really part of the video. I paired the Microsoft Digital Keyboard with a matching Office mouse, and also a budget 900p monitor. So yeah, all benchmarks will be in 900p, okay, for the GTX 1050 Ti's sake, and also because, you know, I don't want to have to like move this PC around too much. It's quite heavy. Yeah, this entire bit is made of metal. Well, I actually think this is metal, but this is plastic. But still, this thing is really heavy, alright? So anyways, let's go and get on with the specs, shall we? Okay, even though I did just mention it, I'm still gonna go into detail with the specs, alright? Oh, and also before we get on with the specs, I just wanted to say, I did put this on top of the $100 game PC. Go check out the video right now. And I will be doing a comparison video in the future, alright? So yeah, anyways, let's go and actually get on with the specs. Or the benchmarks. I forgot where I put this in because I haven't actually put it in yet. So yeah. Anyways, let's get on with the rest of the video, alright? Alright, so this $150 gaming PC, or aka an HP EliteDesk 800 G4 Tower with a GPU in it, has 20GB of DDR4 266 MHz dual channel RAM, alright? Now it is 4 sticks, and it's also 3 8GB sticks and 1 4GB stick, which, yeah, that means that it's worth quite a bit. CPU-wise, we have the Intel Core i7 8700, which is running at 3.2 GHz with a boost frequency of 4.2 GHz, alright? It's got 6 cores and 12 threads, and it was the first CPU to break the quad-core barrier for Intel's consumer side anyways. Storage-wise, we have the 500GB SATA 3 SSD, which was the stock one that came in here when I bought it off eBay for $100, and also threw in a Junkyard Edition 320GB SATA 3 HDD, so yeah. That's to store the games. GPU-wise, we have the Asus Phoenix GTX 1050 Ti 4GB, which, yeah, was one of the best GPUs in this that I could, you know, buy for 50-ish bucks. That, you know, was still in the budget, and also, you know, doesn't need a really beefy power supply, alright? Anyways, let's get on with the benchmarks, shall we? Alright, so in terms of general usage benchmarks, I don't really need to even show you it here. I mean, it's an i7-8700, alright? It can play 8K 60 FPS video perfectly fine, which is the best you can do in YouTube currently. And also, in terms of just general browsing and stuff, it is perfectly adequate, alright? I mean, like, this was sold in bulk for $100 on eBay, so like, why? Like, why don't the businesses that gave that seller it just keep it instead? Because I mean, this thing is perfectly usable for any office task and could probably run some light AI workloads too if you threw in a slightly powerful dedicated GPU, and also supports modern PCIe. So yeah, like, why would you throw this thing out? Like, why would you give it to the eBay seller? Not throw it out, but give it to the eBay seller. Like, why? This thing is perfectly usable, alright? But anyways, enough about me ranting about how, you know, like, people should still be using this stuff because it's perfectly adequate. Let's go ahead and get on with the gaming benchmarks, alright? Which I know you guys, that's the reason why you guys are here for. Anyways, let's get on with the gaming benchmarks, shall we? Starting off right in the deep end here, we have the demanding BeamNG drive running at 900p with the high settings selected and medium textures as we only have 4GB of VRAM. Funnily enough though, the game said I needed at least a 1060, which is hilarious since I'm running it right now with said 1050 Ti at high settings and it is doing just fine. The 1050 Ti achieved an average FPS of 81 and 1% was down to 72 as our CPU was doing just fine as well. More intensive maps and cars could see you dropping to the 50s and 60s of FPS, but overall BeamNG is very playable on this $150 gaming PC. On to the next benchmark. Yeah, pretty cool this 1050 Ti can still handle BeamNG pretty darn well. Next up, we have Doom Eternal here, which isn't an easy game to run, keep in mind, running at 900p with the Ultra Nightmare settings selected and medium textures. At these settings, the game achieved a very playable FPS of 61 on average, with 1% lows down to 43. You could drop the settings to higher Ultra if you want a 60 plus FPS experience, but I prefer the visuals, and by 60 plus FPS, I mean by 60 plus FPS 1% lows. The 4GB of VRAM was definitely holding us back though, even though we have the medium textures. So yeah, honestly, if you wanted a more stable experience, drop the textures to low. Overall, Doom Eternal is very playable on this $150 gaming PC. On to the next benchmark. And yeah, honestly, like the 4GB of VRAM, this is where it starts to hold us back, but it's not too much of a problem, so yeah. Skyrim Special Edition here, a legendary game from the 1050 Ti Zero running at 900p Ultra settings, and the game was very, very playable. At Ultra settings, the PC achieved an average of 59 FPS when 1% was down to 43 due to some major stutters, as the game likes to stutter on cards that just barely hit the 60 FPS cap. A weird quirk of Skyrim. However, most of the time you will see only 80% utilization and a locked 60 FPS as the game excels on Pascal cards. Overall, Skyrim Special Edition, and likely the Anniversary Edition as well, will run perfectly fine at Ultra settings. On to the next benchmark. Yeah, honestly, pretty cool that Skyrim here is extremely playable on this $150 gaming PC. Before I talk about Wreckfest, I should also mention that the card was overclocked with about 100 additional megahertz on the core and memory, which all 1050 Ti should be able to achieve since it's a really basic overclock. Running at 900p Ultra settings, the game achieved an average of 91 FPS while 1% was down to 63. We were close to not having enough VRAM, but we just got by. If you want an even more stable experience, you could drop to high or medium textures. Different maps could change your results, but overall, Wreckfest is very playable at Ultra settings. On to the next benchmark. Pretty impressive stuff here. Next up, with a new benchmark here, we have Fallout 4, which a very generous channel supporter donated. And yeah, shout out to him, but he said he wanted to remain anonymous. Anyways, the game is running at 900p with the Ultra settings selected, and this game was very playable on this PC. At these settings, the PC achieved an average of 50 FPS while 1% was down to 46, as occasionally, the game can dip below 60 FPS, and when it does, there are major stutters, just like how Skyrim does it. But overall, Fallout 4, and probably the rest of the Fallout series, is very playable on this $150 gaming PC. On to the next benchmark. Pretty cool stuff here. And also shout out to that channel supporter, alright, but I can't mention him because he said he wanted to remain anonymous. Next up, we have a modern and demanding title, and also new benchmark, Marvel Rivals. This is a UE5 game, and that engine is known to run like garbage on just about everything. At 900p with the lowest settings and FSR quality, yes, we need an upscaler here, the game looked bad and barely got 60 FPS, with averages of 62, 1% was down to 48. If FSR wasn't here, we would be stuck with either 720p or 40 to 50 FPS, which for a competitive shooter is not playable. This is supposed to be an esports game, people, not a AAA game. But with my rant out of the way, this game was still playable on this PC. Oh, and also, just to add insult to injury, this game, it needed 120 gigabytes of SSD space. That's why I needed that extra hard drive. Just crazy how demanding this crap is. On hard drives even, and SSDs. It just didn't run like how it should have. On to the next benchmark. Yeah, don't show this garbage to me. GTA 5 Enhanced here, running at 900p with the high preset and low textures, as we only have 4 gigabytes of VRAM. But the game is running perfectly fine. At these really solid settings, the PC is achieving a very usable 60 plus FPS experience, with averages of 72 FPS and 1% lows down to 61. More intensive areas like grass will lower the frame rate down to the low 60s, as shown our 1% lows, but overall, GTA 5 Enhanced is very playable and looks really solid on this $150 gaming PC. On to the next benchmark. Pretty cool stuff here, and definitely an upgrade over GTA 5 Legacy. Next up, with a very popular esports title here, we have CS2 running at 900p with the low settings and 4x MSAA. The low settings were chosen as they help with the CPU, as there was actually a CPU bottleneck in this game, which kinda crazy. The PC achieved an average of 138 FPS with 1% lows down to a perfect 100. This experience is very usable, and is even decent enough for a professional competitive environment, as the 1% lows don't even go near 60 FPS. More demanding effects like smoke and fire don't do much, as the quality is set to low, which reduces the performance drop from these effects. Overall, CS2 is very usable, and is even competitive, which is kind of shocking for a $150 game PC. On to the next benchmark. Yeah, this is much better than like the $100 or the $50 gaming PC. Next up, with an oldie but a goodie, we have the very demanding for its time, Crysis. This will also represent how older AAA titles will run, and this can definitely handle it. At 900p with the high settings, we saw that the GPU wasn't doing much, so we had 8x MSA as well. There was a problem, however. Since the latest drivers broke the game somehow, we cannot run it in DirectX 10 mode, which means that Ultra settings will not even work, as they need DirectX 10 mode and not DirectX 9 mode. The PC achieved an average of 106 FPS with 1% was down to 86, which is decent, but remember, this can't even run the highest settings. It physically cannot. Overall, Crysis doesn't run well on the latest NVIDIA cards, but overall, it is a really playable experience. On to the second last benchmark, and yes, it can run Crysis. Minecraft here, the most popular PC game in the world, running with 16 chunks and some fancy shaders. The shaders in question were Silder's vibrant, extreme, volumetric shaders with all the fancy effects. The 1050 Ti was the bottleneck here, which is odd for a game like Minecraft, even with these shaders. The PC achieved an average of 51 FPS with 1% lows down to 43. If you want at least a 60 plus FPS experience, you can get the medium or high intensity Silder shaders and not the extreme volumetric ones. You could also have no shaders at all and see over 500 FPS. The i7-8700 was holding up extremely well thanks to its 12 threads and Sodium's multi-thread renderer. Overall, Minecraft runs like a dream on this $150 game PC. Oh, and also I just want to mention here, I didn't even know they add spears in the latest Minecraft update because I don't really focus on the game too much anymore. But yeah, honestly pretty cool, alright? I didn't use any mods, alright, other than Sodium, Iris, and Worst, alright, which are performance mods. On to the last benchmark. Last up, we have the famous Hollow Knight Silksong, which is a 2025 indie title, and the game was running at max settings with the resolution of 900p, and at these settings, the game achieved an insane average of 461 FPS, 1% was down to 386. This was expected, however, as this is a 2D title, but still, this game shows how not all fun games need a 5090 and need to cost like freaking like $200 or whatever. This $150 PC can run this game like a dream, and that concludes the benchmarks. On to the conclusion. Alright, so in conclusion, how well do I think this PC performed? Well, for $150, it is an insane deal. With a modern i7 with 6 cores and 12 threads. That's a pretty insane deal for $150. Now, I do know that the GPU is technically weaker than the $150 game PC, but I mean, come on! That only had 16 gigabytes of RAM, and this has 24. This is like better in every single aspect, other than the PSU and the GPU, alright? And the GPU is actually pretty close to the RX 480, which was the GPUs in that PC, which, yeah, click the link to see the $100 gaming PC right now, okay, in the upper right hand corner. But yeah, anyways, this PC is pretty decent, alright? And for 150 bucks, I think it's a good deal, and I love it, alright? Anyways, guys, see you in the next video, alright? And remember to subscribe.